Mark Weaver. I hope you're all enjoying the beautiful weather. We've just started summer, and it's glorious here in Los Angeles. So today we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Amanda Gates. And Amanda is a California native, born and raised here in California. And she started in med school in Sacramento State and then changed to the California College of Design in San Francisco to study design. We're going to have Amanda join us now. And so she'll be joining us momentarily here. Amanda's an interior designer, advanced Feng Shui practitioner, podcast host, and author. Hi, Amanda.
Hey.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. So I was just telling everyone a little bit about you. And we're going to be talking with Amanda about discovering the benefits of living in harmony with the energy around us and how it affects our careers, our health, our relationships, finances, etc. So, I found it really fascinating, Amanda, that you started off in med school and then you went into the world of design. So tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny story. I graduated with a BS in biology and had been accepted to med school, and I was on my way to med school, and my soon-to-be husband and I, we had purchased this home, and I was having all of these very strange experiences happen to me, and I went down to a Borders bookstore. I'm dating myself. I went to a Borders bookstore, and I was looking at all these interior design books, and in my head I was thinking, if I could just make this house a little prettier, then all this weird stuff will stop. And this woman walked over to me and she said, "Darling, you don't need those books. You need that book." And taught metaphysics at the local college. And her name was Marlene. She actually ended up becoming a pretty good friend of mine before she passed away. And it was because of her that I got involved with Feng Shui. I was so fascinated by it, and it completely changed my life. I started experimenting with it and doing things with it. And so I dropped out of med school, and I was like, okay, how do I do this Feng Shui thing? And so I thought, well, I've either got to become a real estate agent or I've got to become an interior designer because I need to get into homes.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about the origins and the history of Feng Shui. I know that you told me that this is a practice that's over, 5,000 years old?
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. There's different opinions as to where it came from, when it started. There's different information that's out there, but they believe that it started in India and traveled over to China. And so, like, the Feng Shui that I practice is rooted in Tibetan Bon Buddhism. And so, the origins are Middle East, they're from the East. And so I think that there's truth in all of it. And there's tidbits from all of it. And I think that it has been manipulated because it is supposedly 5,000 to 6,000 years old. But I think we're really starting to see a resurgence of these ancient philosophies and ancient studies and how much they can help our lives and transform our reality into something better and more positive.
Well, I think that's probably something that everybody is looking for in life. So, what do you say, Amanda, to the people that are, think this is a lot of hocus pocus and it's not based in any sort of reality? So how do you respond to that?
Yeah, I think early in my career, I used to be really intimidated by, oh, that's not real, and that's a bunch of hooey, and that's a bunch of woo-woo. But I've been practicing this for 22 years now. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've experienced it, in my own life. And I've come to a place in my life now where, pretty much everyone that I attract now, my energy, people know me through my podcast and they've seen me on my YouTube channel. I no longer really attract those people anymore. But if somebody does say it to me, I always say, well, what do you have to lose? Have you even tried it? Some people will say to me, oh, I tried that once and it didn't work. Well, there's a lot more to it. It's not like this, you experiment with it and do this one and done thing and then, ooh, you're Feng Shui. That's not how it works. It's very much like a lifestyle. kind of like getting fit or eating healthy. It's something that you kind of add on to and you create a lifestyle around it.
Right. Well, I know a lot of people. I've had a couple clients also who have read a little something about feng shui, and then they want things a certain way in their house, and it's not quite that uncomplicated, and it's not quite that easy, and I think you can probably do a lot of damage or harm if you don't really know what you're doing. So I'm a firm believer that everything we place around us um, has an energy and has a profound effect on us. Everything in the universe has its own vibration and its own energy, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So um, you said that you probably the most frequently asked question that you have is, why should I care about feng shui?
Yeah, why does it matter? I've seen just so much come out of utilizing this art and this science. And I've seen people completely change their lives. I've seen women who have wanted to get pregnant. I've seen people who have wanted to be in a relationship, find relationships. I've seen people who have been homeless and literally, don't have a pot to piss in, basically. And they come to me and they're like, what can this energy stuff do for me? And they completely turn their life around. Mm-hmm. That's all chi, that's all energy in our lives. And a lot of it is based on, a lot of people will pick up a book or pick up an article and they'll say, oh, I'm going to do this feng shui thing. And they throw a bunch of stuff around their house and they're like, oh, well, this didn't work. Well, what people don't realize is that you have to start with your own feng shui. Your body, your energy system has its own chi. If you don't calibrate your energy system, it's like trying to get a car to move forward without a motor in it. So if you are approaching like a bull in a china shop, your own feng shui, and you haven't worked on yourself, your system's not going to work. So if you can calibrate everything and work with someone who truly understands the power of energy and how to manipulate it in a powerful way, you can completely change your life around. And I've seen it with my own clients where they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. I can't believe that I didn't try this, 20 years ago, mm-hmm. because they've seen the astounding results that they get and their lives completely change. And that's why it matters, because so many people default to negativity and fear and worst case scenario, whereas feng shui is like, it doesn't have to be that way. We can completely, utilize this energy from the universe to our benefit and create the most amazing life we could like most people can't even think up the possibilities that are available to them. Their mind thinks like this and the universe is like, but I have this available to you.
Well, I think it's very common that people get hung up on negativity and they get hung up on problems instead of letting it just flow through them and move on and dwelling on the positive and not the negative. Focus on what's right. So, can you walk us through? Tell us a little bit about what you do. You're an interior designer. You have a podcast, but with your work as a designer, how do you go about? How does a client approach you? What is typical when a client approaches you and wants help and is hiring you not only for your interior design talent, but also for your talent with feng shui?
Yeah, it's really evolved, because in my early days, I would separate the two and I would have, interior design clients who had nothing to do with feng shui, and then I had feng shui people who had nothing to do with interior design. And I did that for about probably the first 10 to 12 years of my practice. Whereas mm-hmm. now I only work with clients who want both, who are really interested in creating a beautiful home and life. So now somebody who comes to me, they know, they're familiar with who I am. They know what makes me different. They know that I am the interior designer that does feng shui. So people now come to me because they're trying to I'm also a real estate agent. So I got my license because I didn't want to be a real estate agent, but I had clients that, they would buy a horrible house and I'd be like, "Oh my God, we have to fix all these things." So I was like, "Okay, let's like, get the horse in front of the cart here and like let's move things in motion in the correct way." So now clients come to me because they're about to buy a home and they want to get the energy right, and then they want to get the interior design right, or they come to me because they're refreshing their home. Maybe we did something 15 years ago, or it may be that it's a previous client and they've purchased a summer home or a vacation home and they want to make sure that they get the energy right within the home that they have. So for the most part, everybody that comes to me, they are right out of the gate, they're interested in how do we get the energy right. That's my main focus. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, it used to be how can we make it more beautiful? Now, to me, in order to make a home beautiful, you have to have the energy right. Otherwise, you're not going to get it right.
No, it also it has to do with the architecture, the placement of things, the placement of doors and windows. So I know you made a comment to me about how important the front door is. So can you go into a little explanation about this?
Yeah. So, you and I had talked about this before we came on live, is that, people are always so intimidated by feng shui. And I think a lot of that is there's so much misinformation out there. And a lot of times you pick up a book or you read an article and it seems very contradictory. And it's because there's different schools of feng shui.
Right.
So if I hear a skeptic coming at me, "Oh, I did that once and it didn't work," or "I don't really believe in that," I always tell people, "All right, let's start with the front door, because the front door is super easy. It's something that everybody can do. For the most part, it's free, and you're going to experience radical results in your life." And then you're like, "Oh my God, she's right. This feng shui stuff is real." So you always want to pay attention to your front door in your office, in your home, wherever you have an establishment, because it's your mouth of chi. It's literally how you get your nourishing chi in your life. It's nourishment. So if you're not paying attention to your front door, which a lot of people don't, they use a back door, a side door, a garage door to get into their home. They never use their front door. It's like having your mouth wired shut. So if you have your mouth wired shut, you're not going to get proper nutrition. You're not going to be nurtured. You're not going to be taken care of. You're going to get emaciated. So if you take care of the front door of your home, then you're nourishing all very important aspects of your life. You're really nourishing your career. You're nourishing your finances. You're nourishing the relationships in your life. You're nourishing your health. So I met with a person yesterday and he kept telling me that he was having lung issues. And I was like, "We got to look at your front door." He wasn't breathing properly. So I always start with the front door. You want to make sure it's clean. You want to make sure that all the light bulbs and everything are working around it. You want to make sure that you've got, you don't have an old dilapidated mat or all these leaves and everything, cluttered up around the door. All of that is postponed energy. You're literally saying, "I don't care about my finances or my career or my health. Like, it's just a front door." When in actuality, that's the whole reason I got into feng shui, is because when I went down to the Borders bookstore, my front door had been boarded up for 8 months. So I was having, breathing issues. I later found out it was called a panic attack. Had no idea what those were. Got a fever blister on my mouth. I was having issues. I kept getting like allergies, which I had never had. And when Marlene had told me you need to be looking at that F word, and I was like, the first thing that I read about was the front door, and I was like, "Oh my God, why is nobody talking about this?" And I opened my front door up, and everything in my life changed.
So what happens, Amanda, when somebody buys a house and then discovers, maybe they discover you or somebody that practices feng shui, and they discover that this house, that things are placed in the wrong direction. It's got the wrong orientation. There's architectural things with the house that are not easily changed without a great deal of cost. I remember many years ago, I had a client from Hong Kong that bought a residence in Brentwood, And we started with them, and they said, "This house, something is wrong with this house." And they brought their feng shui person in from Hong Kong. And what we ended up doing is tearing the entire top level of the house off, all the bedrooms, because they were all facing in the wrong direction. And we rebuilt the entire second floor, and we made some changes on the first floor, including the front doors, which we were just talking about. And I at the time, I thought this was all kind of a little hocus pocus and a little silly and an unnecessary expense. When it was done, the energy in the house was profoundly different. You could feel it as you walked through the house. There was a sense of harmony as you walked through this space. It was really remarkable. So it it I'm a firm believer that what you do to a space like what you're talking about is makes a profound difference in the way you function in your lives. So, but for the typical person, let's say they can't afford to tear the second floor off their house or make some expensive architectural changes. How do you approach what is your solution for those people?
Yeah, so the level of feng shui that I practice, we're not that extreme.
Uh-huh.
We believe my school of feng shui, which is Tibetan Bon Buddhist feng shui, is that everything is fixable. So we really want to take that intimidation out of it. And I don't want some single mom watching this today going, "Oh my God, like I can't afford a $200,000 renovation because the feng shui is wrong." We look at it from an aspect of, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I look at the floor plan as a whole and I read the chi and I look at it and I say, okay, we've got some issues here with chi and we've got some constriction here and we've got some issues here. And what we need to do is we need to go in and open that up. And a lot of that can be done with ceremonies and working and manipulating with the energy aspect of it. So I always jokingly tell people, like, I'm in a different realm. I'm like working in the fifth dimension on vibration, and I'm shifting and moving things that is beyond our reality. And in a lot of ways, that's true because not everybody can go in and completely change and demolish, a second story. But feng shui is available to everyone. It doesn't matter what income level you're coming in at. Everyone has chi available to them and can change and shift that energy. So the most important thing is to work with a practitioner that understands that and understands the level of feng shui and knowing how to understand how that chi is functioning or not functioning in a space. And so it's really important to work with a practitioner that's not working, on a surface level and let's move this here and do this here. Let's work on it from an energetic aspect so that we can open things up and get that feeling that you're talking about.
Right. That energy is very important. One of the things I always use as an example when I'm talking to my clients, and I don't have the experience, I don't have any knowledge of feng shui, but I always say, everything in a room has to be placed in the right position. It has to be the right scale, the lighting, all these different elements that we as designers think about and work on are very important. So as an instance, you'll see a dog walk in a room. And a dog will walk in a room and he'll walk around and he'll sniff things and he'll look around. And if he doesn't find the right spot in that room, he'll walk out. And or he'll curl up in a particular corner. And it's very interesting that animals feel their spaces, they sense their spaces. And whether we as human beings are aware of it or not, we do too. I know when I walk into a restaurant, if the lighting at the table isn't correct, if it's in the wrong place, if it doesn't feel right, I won't sit there. I'll walk out and go somewhere else. It's that profound for me. I don't want to spend the evening being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think whether we're aware of it or not, subconsciously we can feel that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we've all had that experience where we've walked into a space and it felt, I always call it the warm hug, where you feel welcomed and it feels amazing and you want to sit down and spend some time there. And we've all been in that space where we're like, oh my God, this feels terrible. I don't like this person. I don't like this space. I want to get the hell out of here. And you can't figure out why.
Right.
You don't want to be there. And we've all had that gut reaction of, oh, this doesn't feel good, and a lot of people will ignore that, but we all have that ability, and that is our chi. That is our personal Wi-Fi system that is communicating with us. Danger, get the hell out, or this is a safe space.
Oh, I think that's a great explanation.
And we've been so conditioned to ignore that of, oh, it's woo-woo and that's not real, and that sixth sense is something you've made up, and it's not. That's our communication system that's letting us know, is it good or is it bad?
Right. So I'd just like to share something with you. In this, I was talking to a friend a couple days ago, and he was asking who I was going to be talking with today, and I told him who you were, and he said, oh, he happens to be in the funeral industry, and they have one of the largest cemeteries in the world, and they have a very, very large Asian clientele. And he says, we have Feng Shui masters and consultants on a daily basis come in and consult with families as to where in the cemetery and how they're to be buried, and the position and the direction that they face. And, I think that's really fascinating, because in the Asian culture, the afterlife is very, very important. Mm-hmm. And they bring in a practitioner to consult on the position where they're going to be laid to rest. So it affects, the living and the dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and what people don't realize is that in the realm of energy, we never die. We leave our bodies, but we never die. And so, what's really great about the Asian culture is that they have come to recognize the importance of honoring and cherishing the energy of that person and that soul. And so if you continue to honor that energy, which does not cease to exist, it continues on just somewhere else. If you honor that energy, then you are honoring the generations to come, and it's kind of like a salvation of sorts, where you're honoring the wealth that previous generations have built up so that you can continue to have that wealth. You're honoring harmony within the family. You're honoring good health. You're honoring good fortune. And so, I've had clients that have not taken that seriously. And I had one in particular one where I told them to put a gravesite in a specific spot, and they didn't listen. They put it in this very granite and slate area, which is very rigid, and it's very hard for energy. And I said, you're going to lose your fortune. And, oh, well, that's just a bunch of hooey, and Feng Shui isn't real, and that. And within 6 years, they lost their family fortune. The trusts were gone.
Oh, that's tragic. So can you give us any, say, a personal experience for you that has been life-changing as a result of your Feng Shui study?
Yeah, I actually had a very recent experience. I always do ceremonial things at the Chinese New Year, and I always do ceremonies to call in blessings. And this year in particular, I was really looking to expand my business in a way that felt good. I'm kind of at a place in my life now where I don't want to work with people that I don't like, and I don't want to take on jobs that I don't want to do. And I really, it was quite Pollyanna of me, but I thought, you know what, I just feel like I've been doing this for 22 years. I'm ready to really be in a place where I love what I do. I love my clients. I love the people I work with. I love my jobs, and everything is in flow. And so I did all these ceremonies around this, and I didn't know exactly what it was, but that was really what I put out into the ethers of just really calling in the chi of, I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I absolutely adore the people that I'm working with. And in May, I had this incredible opportunity fall into my lap where I've been partnered with Costco. And I don't know that I would have taken this opportunity even 10 years ago. I would have thought, oh, I don't want to, that's like fast food of design and fast food of Feng Shui, and I don't want to do that. But it came to me, and it seemed like such a great opportunity. And so I decided to take it. And I'm basically a subcontractor for them. And it has been the most glorious experience I've ever had in my life. I love what I do. I love my clients. I adore the people that I work with. And the money has been incredible. And so it literally has checked all the boxes. And I went back the other day because I knew we were going to be on the show. And I went back and I looked at, the ceremony and all the things I had written down. And I was like, oh my God, it's to a T exactly what I asked for, even the money. And I was like, this is incredible. And, I do these kinds of things all the time where I manifest these circumstances and these experiences for myself. And I think I've really limited myself because I have felt like, oh, I can't ask for too much. And this year I really went for it. And I'm still kind of baffled. I thank the universe every day. Like, thank you so much for giving this opportunity to me. So, and I've had clients experience this sort of thing too. And it all comes back down to understanding energy and honoring Feng Shui.
Well, it's a real gift to be able to change people's lives. And, to think that you can turn somebody's life around. I talked about this in a previous show a little bit. I remember doing a residence for a couple, and they had, I think, 2 or 3 children. And we got the house done, and 2 or 3 weeks later, they called us and said, oh my God, you've just changed the way we live. You've changed our lives. It's the first time we as a family have dined together and had dinners. She said the kids their friends all want to come over to the house. They want to be in their rooms. They want to have dinner with us. She said it's really changed our relationships and the way we function. And you, as a person with the gift of Feng Shui, can take that even one step further. But to have a gift where you can change the way people live for the better, how they see themselves, is really, I think it's extraordinary.
Yeah, it has been one of the most rewarding and fulfilling work that I've ever done. And I think that if I had just done interior design, I don't think I would have been able to say the same thing. I think that by having the ability to have basically an avenue through the interior design to practice Feng Shui, it's really been extremely rewarding. And I think what's been wonderful is just the feedback that I've gotten over the years. I have, in fact, I was moving the other day and moving boxes out of an old storage unit. And I have letters from clients that are pages and pages and pages long that they hand wrote me, thanking me for changing their life. And I have so many of those where people have, had these really extraordinary experiences in their life due to Feng Shui. And so I feel like that has really been my purpose and my gift to this world is to help people get on track and to open them up to the magic, to show them that it does exist, because so many people are skeptical and they have this level of pessimism that, oh, that's not real. And
right.
then you give them a glimpse of what's possible and it changes everything. And I feel like I'm a conduit for that.
Wonderful. So what is the best way for somebody to go about finding the person that's right for them, Amanda?
I think that, depending on where your area is, look for local practitioners and see if there's somebody in your area that you resonate with. Honor your chi. Honor how you feel about that person. Do they give you that warm hug, or does it hit you in the gut like, oh, that's not the right person? And do some research on them. Do they have a podcast, a YouTube channel, an Instagram page? Kind of stalk them and engage with them and see if they're your person and if you really like what they're doing. And, look for their testimonials, talk with other people that have worked with them and see what the results are and see if other people are happy. I think that, my podcast has been a huge avenue for me. I've had it for 10 years. And so a lot of people have found me through that or through my YouTube channel. And I've gifted a lot of floor plan readings over the years and done Feng Shui. And I put those on the podcast or I put them on YouTube so that people can experience it and see what the heck I'm talking about. And I think if you can find someone that's like that resonates with you and makes you feel good, that's a great place to start. But I would definitely, if you're a novice and you don't know what you're doing, find someone that can help you so that it's not scary and it doesn't make you go, oh, that stuff doesn't work. If you have a teacher that shows you the path and the way, you're going to you're going to get far better results. But the thing is that you're going to feel more appreciative of the possibility that it can give you instead of reading something and saying, oh, well, I tried that once and, on to the next thing.
Right. So, what do you see in the future for yourself? Where does this lead you?
What I really, my big goal, my Oprah goal is I want to buy like 100 acres here in Tennessee, and I want to start a center. I want to call it the Shui House, and I want to teach people about meditation and yoga and Buddhism and Feng Shui, and bring back the ancient art of the mystical spiritual awareness and spiritual nature that we all used to have and have lost. And really connect people back to nature, because I think that if we can connect to nature and that the chi of nature, then we can really tap into our higher selves and step away from the illusion of everything that we've been sold, the propaganda of what we think is real.
Well, I think many people just get hung up on the wrong things in life and not what's important. And your happiness, your health, and all of that is much more important.
Yeah.
So Amanda, what is the best way for people to find out a little bit more about you through your? How do they find your podcast? Is it your website that they look up, or what?
They can start with the website. The website is gatesinteriordesign.com, and the podcast is called Home Energy Design. And then if you go on YouTube, it's Amanda Gates Feng Shui. So everything is on the website if you want to look for it, or you can just go straight. Some people have, they prefer YouTube, or they prefer the podcast,
right,
or they prefer a website. So there's typically something for everyone.
That's great. Thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully this has inspired and provided some background for people, and they can explore through your website a little bit more about the world of Feng Shui. Thank you for taking the time today. It was really enjoyable.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Mark.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thank you, everybody, for listening today. I hope you enjoyed Amanda. I find it incredibly fascinating. So in 2 weeks, we have another wonderful guest, the very, very talented Windsor Smith, interior designer. She has her own furnishing line and home collection, and we'll be talking to her about her design talents and the furnishing and home collection line. So remember that we're on Instagram, YouTube, and we have a podcast, all under Mark Weaver and Associates. So you can watch these anytime. If you're not available for the live shows on every other Friday, they can be seen anytime just by visiting our Instagram, YouTube, or podcast. So I'm going to leave you with a quote today. It's a quote from Fred Rogers, who we all know as Mr. Rogers. But I thought, based on today's talk and the talent and gifts that Amanda has, this was appropriate. Quote, "We all have different gifts, so we all have different ways of saying to the world who we are." So have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.